This one is in regards to Amazon, one of our favorite platforms. So Amazon tests letting sellers email customers directly about new products and sales. So what that means, Amazon is testing a new feature for sellers that will let them contact customers directly by email to notify them of the new things like product announcements or sales. The tool will be called Manage Your Customer Engagement Tool. So the logistics are of this. It is a little bit finicky because Amazon is still not allowing businesses data or first-party data into their own customers. So obviously,
I'm going to dive in there and tell you my suspicion is that will also never happen.
Correct, exactly.
but I hear it.
They're still serving as the gatekeepers, more or less. So how it works, companies will only be able to contact Amazon users who have specifically chosen to follow a particular company, and Amazon, not the sellers, will be the one to actually send out the promotional emails. So again, Amazon is not giving sellers a blank check access to customers' portals and contact information. So again, businesses will still no longer have direct visibility into it, as we just discussed. And the email campaign option is a free service for sellers, but it's only available to brands registered through Amazon's brand registry program. So what that means is it has to be their own proprietary brand. You can't be like a third-party vendor or seller selling someone else's product in order to push these promotions or use the tool. So thoughts?
Well, look, we'll put it this way. I mean, as an e-commerce agency in our own right, we recognize you either embrace Amazon or you get run over by them. Exactly. And, we have a lot of brands who are generating, at least 50% of their sales through Amazon. And it kind of is what it is. We know that users are going to go there. And so I think you're missing out on sales. And we can talk another day about the semantics of giving away so much data and power to this giant, but it's kind of the game that we play in the short term while we figure out something long term. So I like the fact that Amazon is giving people more access to communicate with, with customers in a way that's probably valuable to them. And I imagine that SMS, text messaging, is going to be an add-on to this at some point. I'm sure that that's not too far behind. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's not so bad. It's also not so great because we're still beholden to Amazon for the foreseeable future. But it is kind of what it is. You got to take your medicine and swallow it, even if you don't like how it tastes, and and play nice with Amazon. But it's all in all, it's good for businesses who are already there. We'll put it that way.
Definitely agree. Got to play in their sandbox. Also, interestingly enough, I did find this from a different source. So this was from Ad Age. They said, having kind of their own spin to this story, the move comes as Apple prepares to make it harder for brands to target iPhone users with personalized ads. So the timing of this update is very interesting from Amazon's side, because they're kind of playing into, again, the email marketing, which is going to be an increasingly important component in the digital marketing toolbox, especially as web tightens up on privacy. That's definitely something we're going to jump into in just a bit. But right before that, our next headline is the last one for today, and that is Apple's new software update means big changes to ad tracking. So this finally launched yesterday. What happened is the app tracking transparency update on iOS 14 now makes all apps required to ask a user permission to track the activity across the internet. So users have to opt in as to whether they want their data tracked or not. This is something that's been in mainstream media, not just for us as marketers. And why this is happening in terms of Apple and Tim Cook, who is the CEO, he mentioned 2 points. One, technology does not need vast troves of personal data stitched together across dozens of websites and apps in order to succeed. And number two, if a business is built on misleading users, on data exploitation, on choices that are not choices at all, then does it not deserve our praise? You know what I mean? This quote's kind of all over the place.
I hear you.
From his keynote. But he says that basically the whole entire thing deserves reform. So, interesting note on how this could potentially backfire. I do want to add this before I do ask for your commentary, David.
Of course.
Apple's aggressive privacy measures are putting competitors on the back foot, but they could also invite even more antitrust scrutiny to its dominance of the app economy. So that is directly from one of our sources, which I believe is Morning Brew. So that said, I think that's also the perfect segue into our topic of the week, which is digital analytics. But I do want to hear your thoughts on just kind of overarching changes.
Yeah, I'll be honest, if you take away the source for a second, that technology doesn't need vast troves of personal data, to succeed, I agree with that in principle. But then when you consider the source is essentially like a whole bunch of ego competitions between Apple and Google and Facebook and Amazon. I take everything that these jerks say with a grain of salt, which essentially they're what
Oh,
they
what you're going to say, because we're on, yeah, I saw what you're going to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how I feel about it. They want to squeeze exactly. They want to squeeze one another out of the picture, and the person with the most control has the most power. We just talked about Amazon doing their absolute best to communicate, through sellers, give the users or the brands in this case a little bit more of the crack cocaine that's going to keep them. That's my second reference to that. That's going to keep the brands addicted to their platform, right? Apple's essentially doing the same thing, which is we're going to collect all of your data ourselves. You can trust us. First party data is much safer with us. I mean, if people were even aware of the terms of agreement and terms of service that they're signing with Apple to begin with, I mean, they would never trust a word that came out of Tim Cook's mouth about data privacy and data security. So I think it's BS in terms of his reasoning. However, at a basic level, I do agree on the value of securing personal data for users. But I would also venture to say that none of the big four companies that I just mentioned are doing anything to actually make that happen. What they're doing is serving their own interests, and God bless them, because we're playing in their sandbox.